Okay, good morning and welcome to Agriculture Live. Here we are with episode 2 with our special guest, Mark Scott, Talent and Recruitment Partner of Rural and Projects at Savills. Today we're going to be talking about working in the agricultural sector. If you've got any questions about this, please leave a comment and we'll come to them at the end. So, Mark, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about you.
Morning, Rebecca. Thank you. So, yes, Mark Scott, look after the Rural and Projects Division recruitment for Savills. Been here just shy of 2.5 years now. My background isn't rural at all. So it's I was thrown in the deep end, but they must have saw something about me that attracted them, and I've always been in recruitment since I've been around 18 years old. I've worked in tech sector, the tech sector, finance sector, worked in the gaming sector. So I've worked in various different sectors and saw what good looks like, and also seen what bad looks like as well. So hopefully I've came to Savills and been able to draw on both and help influence some of the recruitment with a fresh perspective, rather than just thinking about or always thinking about the same type of recruitment for the rural sector. So really looking at those different sectors and bringing hopefully a fresh perspective and new ideas.
Nice. So what does Savills do for people that don't know?
To simplify it, we do anything to do with land and property globally. Okay. I could go into a bit
more. Go on, give us a little bit more.
Well, we have got 40,000 people across the globe in over 700 different locations. We cover commercial sectors. We're huge in America, where we started off as a rural business. I think that's the most important thing. I don't think people necessarily associate Savills as being a rural business or starting off a rural business. But we started off in the mid-1800s with one person.
Wow.
And here we are today as a global organization, 40,000 colleagues worldwide, and an array of specialisms within the business.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, Mark. So what is it that makes Savills, would you say, stand out from their competitors?
Great question. So drawing upon the fact that we're a global organization, it can put a lot of people off when thinking, oh my God, this is huge. I'm just going to be a number. But you're really not. And what I would say is, so we've got just over about 100 offices in the UK, but specifically for the Rural and Projects Division, we've got 35 across Scotland and England.
Yeah. And
what I'd say is that each office has its own unique culture, and really it's run as a separate business slightly. Now, it has got the core values and that golden thread that is Savills, but each office is quite unique and different, which poses, it's amazing for me because I can really sell it, and my colleague Becky as well in the recruitment team, we can really sell each culture different, each team different. We've got various different disciplines, and it's a really sort of multidisciplinary office as well, most of them, which is just fantastic. So it's really easy to sell, but actually you have to really speak to the hiring manager and understand the team dynamics, the clients, the role that is actually on offer. Because a role in, say, agriculture in Sevenoaks is very different to a role in Perth in Scotland, for instance.
Sure.
So it is very, very different, which poses its challenges, but also its absolute opportunities and uniqueness, I guess, which is quite
fantastic. So today we're going to be talking about working in the agricultural sector. So I think we've got like similar backgrounds. So I'm going to ask the question. I know you've touched on it already, but you know, when you were a wee boy, did you say, when I grow up, I want to work in agriculture?
Absolutely not. And I didn't. As growing up, I didn't necessarily think that I would recruit either. So being recruitment, I think everyone sort of falls into recruitment. I don't think anyone necessarily comes out of school and goes, right, I want to do recruitment necessarily, because it's not widely known, but quite an important part of corporate culture and other things. So agriculture, no. Grew up in suburban Newcastle, went to a pretty ordinary school. Didn't think I could ever be in this type of sector because it was just vastly different to what I knew. So yes, I thought there was 2 or 3 options to me, which was go onto the building sites, which my dad actually put me off because he spent 30 years doing that and had lots of aches and pains. And he said, no, get an office job, do something around people because you're passionate about people. And hey presto, I'm here today, and actually I fell into recruitment, but also fell into agriculture, and actually 2 passions that I never knew I necessarily had. They were unconscious, I think, but then have come out by just pure chance and pure luck.
It's nuts, isn't it? Because like my background, you know, I've not from a farming family or anything like that. But I kind of like fell into this myself because I was working in recruitment and had a client that contacted me in agricultural machinery and said, you know, can you help me recruit someone? And I really enjoyed doing that. And I thought, oh, this is quite a nice sector, and found a bit of a specialism in it, which now we're all into and really enjoying it. But it almost felt like a bit of a secret world. You know, when I first came into it, it was like at school, it was never an option. You know, it was just like, you just didn't even know it really existed, you know. It's like they say most kids now at school don't even know where food comes from, which is really sad. But because it's not a topic or something that we're educated enough about, that's the reason really, isn't it? Unless you're from that farming background, you know, it's difficult to know what is available in this sector really. For me, you know, when I first came in, it was very much like, oh, if you're not from farming, you know, it's kind of like this old boys club type thing, which wasn't very helpful. But you know, as you know, why not have people coming in from other sectors who can add skills, add knowledge, you know, who can bring something extra to help this industry? Because I feel with agriculture, it's very much, we're a little bit behind, you know, in terms of diversity, in terms of like women in the sector, in terms of, you know, it's almost like construction was, you know, where you didn't really have many women in the sector. And now it's really taken off. I mean, well, I was talking to the guys in the office earlier, and I don't think I've ever placed an agricultural engineer who's a female. You know, it's nuts, really.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I found that quite early on in my time working in the rural sector, agricultural sector. It's not widely publicized outside of the sector or the area where you grew up in necessarily. So it's a big challenge. The tech sector had that challenge 10, 15 years ago, and they've overcome that now. And there's various different things that you can do. But I think there's one thing in particular is action and also collaboration. You know, we're a big organization. We're the biggest rural consultancy in the UK. So we've just got shy of 700 members of staff altogether. So we're huge. So actually we've got an obligation to do something as well, but we want to do it. And we should collaborate with our competitors, because it's not necessarily about stealing each other's people, because that's not going to solve the issue. Because as people get older and there's nothing coming through at the more junior end, then, you know, we're all going to end up with not enough people to come in agriculture, come into consultancy, come into engineering, come into the sales part of agriculture, which, bear in mind, at school, you thought that agriculture was farming. You know,
that was it, wasn't it? It's just farming.
You associated that farmer with being a male as well, unfortunately. Which is it's vastly different. Well,
I mean, like, if you look at even our job page, you know, we do everything from animal feed, animal health, consultancy services. You've got machinery, you've got renewables. You know, the list goes on. But you don't realise that when you're not in it, do you? You just think, oh, it's farming. if I tell people that I work in agriculture recruitment, they go, "Do you recruit farmers?" I go, "Well, yeah, we do some of that, but there is a lot more to it, you know."
Yeah, exactly. So there's a huge opportunity here, and there's a glimmer of hope, by the way, because what we're seeing in being quite large, we can have quite a big influence on the entry level coming into our business
Yes.
and into the sector. So we do a lot with schools, colleges, universities. We
So
can do a
tell
lot
us,
more, by the way.
tell us what you do, because I think
Yeah,
this is a thing that a lot of companies need to get on board with. And I know for at our business, you know, next year we'll be looking to do more to help, you know, get
yeah.
more people into the industry, because at the end of the day, Mark, without the people, we're nothing, are we?
Absolutely. Well, we're a people business. I always say that, you know, and everyone says this, but the people are our product. So, you know, we've got to look after them. We've got to sell them in the right way. And it's important. And we've got to make sure that we've got that succession plan, you know, and that's really important. And I think, you know, we're lucky in the fact that we've got various different people um, supporting the business in sort of the central roles like mine. So we've got a big HR team, big recruitment team, big training development team, sorry, who can support our people properly, but also identify the needs that the business has, and actually also hopefully forecast. We've got, you know, for the rural sector, I would say quite a big research team, and the fact that we've got 10 people in that team. So they're constantly looking at what's next, which is great for us because we're getting that insight to then go, okay, this is what we need to act upon now. And if we do, actually, hopefully we can plug this gap necessarily in the talent space, or for instance, you know, BPS, what's next, etc., etc. I'll not go into the technicals, by the way, because in no way means I'm an expert. I can't, because I look after too many different areas within the division. But you know, as again, this is something that I've just been able to learn on the job, is that you start to pick these types of things up, and you understand a lot more, and you start to be able to have at least a basic level conversation with someone who is in agriculture and know what you're talking about to a certain degree. But drawing back on your point on what we're doing at entry level stage. So what we're doing is we're just going out there and going out to every single university we can do. So not just focusing on the agricultural focused ones, because there's not enough, unfortunately. Now they are amazing, and what they do is fantastic. And I want to build upon that relationship and feed new people who haven't got necessarily a clue about agriculture, but they know they want to make a difference in the world. I want to feed those people into those areas, because they're the specialists. They can teach people what they need, a good foundation to then come into businesses like ours and hit the ground running. So as many universities, colleges, schools as possible. Farm visits, which is really important. So we're starting. We've done a few things with Leaf, where we've put on some agricultural days or farm visits, sorry, for schools, and whether that be sponsoring something or actually attending on the day and giving our time to understand, well, what is it like to work in a consultancy, for instance.
Yes.
It's hard to put something on the table. So when you've got, you know, the engineering or something where they've got the nice big combines and a toy combine or a bit of engineering, it's hard to sell a consultancy in say a toy form or some type of material. But actually what we can say is, well, this is how we support. And if you're a creative thinker, you can think outside the box, and you love working with people, you love working in the countryside, this could be a role for you.
Brilliant
so
that you guys
starting off with that young age, really.
Really good that you guys are doing that. Part of me wishes that, you know, there was something in schools, you know, like a subject that people could do, or something to get people thinking about it earlier on, because we have got this aging farming population now. You know, it's like, you know, we've got to have this succession coming through, because it's such an important industry, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think for me, what really opens my eyes up to things is obviously working with these people day in, day out. So, you know, I'm working with our guys who are giving us constant feedback, and listening to the research team, reading their publications. We're constantly having updates again about what next and how we can support people in the right way. But also, for me, on TV, I think there's some fantastic sort of series out there at the moment. The Clarkson's Farm, for instance.
Yeah.
Fletcher's Farm's amazing. And I know they've both come from TV and probably got slightly more money than the average Joe, but it's still a bloody.
It's helping though, isn't it? It's definitely helping.
Absolutely.
Countryfile.
It's depicting the real sort of farmer lifestyle, I think, which is, yes, it's tough, but actually how rewarding at the end of the day when you do get it right. It just for me it really sort of, it gives me that motivation. I'm watching it, my blood's pumping, going, I'm really motivated here to really try and change things for the better, and I want to work alongside like-minded people to do that. And again, I've got the platform here of being at the biggest consultancy to really shape that. And I guess all of my colleagues are on board as well, which is amazing. So we're doing things, but it definitely takes collaboration across the whole piece, and not just one organisation.
We all need to be getting together and doing so much more, don't we, really? Definitely. So what challenges do you face as a business when recruiting, would you say, Mark?
Well, just the sheer volume that we recruit. So, we hire from anywhere between 120 people to around about 160 people in one given year. So we're constantly recruiting because we're either growing, which is amazing in what we are doing, but there's sometimes that people leave us. That's just inevitable. So we are, because we're such a big organization, we are recruiting constantly and in various different areas within different disciplines, and it's tough sometimes because it can be down to location, it can be down to the flexibility, it can be down to pay sometimes. It could be anything. It's literally anything. A lot of people in the rural sector tend to are going towards the infrastructure, utilities sector as well. So that's drawing some people out, and that's fine because it's such a buoyant market and there's a lot of opportunity there. But this is the whole point of actually grouping things together and trying to build up this early talent scheme, which isn't just the only solution, by the way, but you've also got to look at a lot of the sort of career returners and second career types of people. So ex-armed forces, for instance, we're doing a trainee scheme where these people come on board. So this is anyone that's a second career, by the way. It doesn't have to be ex-armed forces or ex-emergency services, etc. It's everyone who wants a second career in agriculture, rural infrastructure space, to come in and retrain, basically, but basically at a slightly higher level than what a graduate would be, because obviously
they've got some commercial,
a lot of transferable skills.
So they've got the commercial experience already.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, a lot of transferable skills. The big thing for us is that they're a people person. They can work with clients. They have got that commercial mindset, which is very important. And they know how to go and win business as well, which is pretty important.
Exactly. It's like here, I don't know if you can see, but my ethos in our business is we recruit for attitude and we'll train for skills, which is vital, because if people have got the right attitude, we can teach the rest,
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree.
So what do you think generally in agriculture are the biggest issues going forward in terms of, recruitment?
I'm pleased you said in terms of recruitment there, because
I added that in quickly.
I think in terms of recruitment, the biggest challenge is, for me, is the collaboration piece, because whatever we do, we can do it, but we won't influence everyone. And I think actually if a lot of the other agricultural consultancies or rural consultancies or utility firms, etc., all group together, and it's a force for good. is if you want to label it as that. I think that's where we'll see real change, because yes, you can put some money behind it, but actually it's true action, it's time, and it's influence. And I think if we can get that right, which everyone wants to do it, and doing it in their own way, by the way, so everyone is doing it, but actually doing it in one way and with purpose and with an end result in mind in a quite a short time frame will make a huge difference. So the LEAF program that we're doing, we've only done it in a small section of the south. Ideally, I want to roll that out, and really, it's not even my idea. So it's someone else's idea within the business who is a surveyor who went, I'm from the agricultural background, but actually, I want to make a difference because I can see that it's not sustainable. We're like, fantastic, let's roll with it. Let's put this in place. We're doing it already, so there's something there where we can, the coordination piece actually can be done by someone else. Actually, what we need to do is just give up our time and obviously help hopefully financially slightly as well with sponsorship, and that's as little as £100, £200 sometimes, where it just means that actually you can fund a coach to get the kids from school onto the farm. So it can be as simple as that, and that's what we're looking to bring out, but actually on a much wider scale, and ideally with our competitors, because that's where we're going to see again force for good.
So where do you think, like, obviously we've got the school level, we talked about, there's more education that could be done, more trips to farms, that type of thing. But how do you think as an industry do we attract more non-farming people into it, when they are at that, when they're already in established careers, really?
Great question. Look, if I had the chance to be a farmer at some point, I'd absolutely snap someone's hand off. I think the biggest challenge is the financials. How do you get in to farming when you're not wealthy? Now, I'm not saying that farmers are wealthy, but I think getting into it, there's that real gap. And if that can be, or if at least it can be widely publicized that that's not necessarily the case, you can take a tenancy, for instance, and just show that you've got the right skill set, the right mindset, the right behaviors. And I think also, farmers are very willing to help people. So again, I know this is TV, but if you look at the Fletcher's farm, for instance, you look at Clarkson's farm, neighboring farmers are wanting to help. Now, maybe not Clarkson too much, but the Fletcher's farm, for instance, I think watching that, it definitely inspires you to really think about it. And if there's the right pathway, the right avenue, I think it's an absolute possibility for people, but it needs to be publicized. So really, to shorten that and to sort of be quite concise with this, the marketing to how to get into to being a farmer, because I know that there would be a lot of people that are wanting to get into that. As kids, and as a young lad, I still had a toy tractor when I was playing with, and pretended to be a farmer, at a certain age. And I bet a lot of people be like that. But actually, that sort of disappears between that life and school life, because you think it's impossible. But actually, if you can hit that cusp just right, I think it's an absolute possibility for the majority of people who obviously want to put in a lot of hard work, but a lot of reward, and that hopefully that well-being space as well, of being able to just do what you love and be your own boss, and and work in
a lot of people
feeding the nation, which is very important.
A lot of people with kids will know it is better now, because you've got things like Tractor Ted and things like that, to help educate the little ones. And there's a lot more farm parks open now than maybe when we were kids and things like that, aren't there? how do you think, in terms of, obviously we've got the farming side, but people that like ourselves really, that are working in a different industry, how do we get them to open up and look at this as a potential move across? What do you think we could do?
Great question. So you meaning us here as recruiters, or?
Well, not even necessarily recruiters, but say what you were saying about how to get people to consider farming, say, but people who are just commercial people,
Okay.
that are established. How do we get them that aren't at the farming level, but as salespeople or whatever? How do you think we could get more of them across? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think our training scheme is working well now. It's still small scale because, like anything, we test it out practically, but in a quite a safe environment. And it seems to be working, which is good. I think things like that, where there's an offering, there's a pathway for second careers, is the solution in my mind. If someone comes to me and says, actually, I've got a better thing, fantastic. But I think something like that, where you see outside of this sector the likes of Amazon and Barclays and others, where they offer these fantastic fast track management schemes, and they work pretty well because you get to vice president within 5 years, and you're in the armed forces, or you are doing something else. Something like that would make absolute sense, and a real sort of fast track, technical sort of, as long as you've got the right sort of behaviors, skill set, motivations to really sort of get into this sector, then actually within a sort of 5-year time frame, and also being very clear and transparent. By the way, I think you've got to have that to go, well, this is what you're going to end up with, this is how you're going to get it, but it's going to be tough in between because you've got to start from scratch, really. Which is daunting to a lot of people who, for me, with 12 years experience within recruitment, to then just go, well, I'm going to be a farmer in 5 years time. Well, how the hell do I do that? And that would potentially put a lot of people off. But I do think something like that, a scheme and a pathway where it's very clear, what the end goal is, and being able to know how to get it, which is something that I think would work pretty well. We're doing it on a very small scale, and just within the rural business at the moment, so rural surveying, because actually it's very structured in the fact that within 2.5 years you're a chartered surveyor. And this is how you do it, and this is what you paid, and this is the training that you get. So it's great. Within agriculture, it's slightly different, but we'd love to get to that point where we're offering it across the board.
Absolutely. And obviously, getting more women into the sector, making the sector more diverse. How can you see us doing more of that?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, so there's 2 stats that I just want to say that what we've been doing, and last year our graduate scheme, because all of the work that, by the way, it's not me going to every single university because I find it would be impossible, but we have around about 30 talent ambassadors in the business who are placed in nearly all of our different offices, who go out, work with local schools, work with the local colleges and universities. So they do a lot of career fairs, partnering, do a lot of creative things actually, to really partner with the local institutions. And basically, because of that, the end result last year is that they hired this year, but the recruitment was last year. We hired 37 grads and 5 apprentices in the business who joined September. 25 of them were from non-rural backgrounds whatsoever.
Wow.
That's over 50%, obviously, that we're doing that, which to us is huge. It's absolutely huge, and that's where you'll see real change. And if that was the the sort of common number every single year. Well, of course you're going to get a diverse workforce.
Yeah.
So really being quite strict with that and opening up opportunities. We hired people from the likes of Sheffield, Harlem, Nottingham, Trent. Trying to think where else where it's sort of sort of an RICS accredited degree, for instance. So they've got nothing to do with land necessarily. They could do law, economics, something like that, but they're coming into the rural sector, which is amazing. So that was last year's stats just for sort of grads and apprentices. But actually, over the summer, we offer summer placements for school, college leavers, and people in their first year of university. So this year we had 50 work experience altogether. Now that comes into placements, 1 week work experience, 4 weeks work experience. But out of the 50, there was more female than there were male this year. Or majority, again, non-rural backgrounds, but wanting to have a taste into what it's like to be in the rural sector and in a consultancy like ours. Which is quite interesting, because I think when you offer work, so this is the first year where we've offered work experience on scale, and what we've seen is it's went from a shift from male just applying for the grad scheme and getting the roles to actually a big shift in the females. And actually the summer placements, all of them, I think there was 8 female and 4 or 5 male in the sort of summer work experience, who could have then applied for the graduate scheme this year. So they're at uni, they're in their second year of uni, and applying for the grad scheme that will come into 2024. All of them are fast-tracked. So all of them were at a level where the business said, we'd take these people on. So it just, I think having something like that to say, you've got a 1 week work experience on offer, then you've got a 4 week work experience on offer, then you've got a placement opportunity, a 12-month placement, for instance, if you're at university, and then being able to offer a graduate scheme. Having that structure is really important, because it opens up a pathway for everyone, really, which is ultimately what we want. So really, we can attract anyone, or someone can have some type of work experience in our organisation from the age of 18. Now, I'd love to get that even younger, but there's obvious reasons where we can't do that. But I think, having that opportunity right through to second career, by the way. So you've got your 1 week work experience, your 4 week, your year's placement, your graduate scheme, or your apprenticeship scheme, and your trainee pathway. It means that there's an opportunity for anyone to get into this business.
It's great what you guys are doing, honestly, Mark, in terms of helping to, get more people into the industry in effect. So it's really, really good. I don't think we've had any questions, so we'll leave that. But if you have got any questions, please feel free to message me or Mark, and we'll be happy to answer them. It's given us a lot to think about, hasn't it, today, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. I've reflected on messy writing, but just reflected on some of the questions that were posted on LinkedIn. And, we are doing a lot. I think the sector's doing a lot. We're all passionate about it. We're all wanting to make a difference. So that is absolutely key. I think just keep on going and build upon that and build further.
Definitely.
That's what I'd say to everyone else. But we're constantly looking at ourselves and making sure that we're at the forefront, looking to try and look at new avenues of ways to do things. But if anyone wants to reach out and give us some guidance, I'd be more than happy to discuss. Because
we're all for new ideas,
aren't we? Answers, definitely not.
We're all for new ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and collaboration.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I want to thank everyone for obviously watching today, and especially thanks to you, Mark, for joining me. We really appreciate it. It's all going to help. definitely going forward. So yeah, if you've got an interesting topic in agriculture and you're watching that you would like to talk about, please get in contact with me via Agricultural Recruitment Specialists, which is www.agrirs.com. Our next Agriculture Live will be in the new year. So all that's left to say is to wish you all a wonderful Christmas and a very happy new year. And thank you. And thanks, Mark, again.
No, thank you. Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. And yeah, Happy New Year.
All right. Thank you.